is what happened now. We're streaming now. Let me put my little streaming notification by my desk. If I even remember. But today's still the 26th. Good God. I've been practicing like twice a day. I don't know. I've been either efficient with my time or I don't know, I've been sleeping and stuff, but I like I'm able to get back to my desk within the same 24-hour period, which is cool. It could be the schedule I'm on right now. But one thing I noticed was that my microphone doesn't sound as good as it probably could. And I know that there's background noise, but I wanted to see if I could fix it. So here is my default sound right now, okay? The thing is, it's this Focusrite dynamic, and it's not terrible. Maybe I'll take pictures of the settings. It's not terrible. But you've been listening to it, so what do you think? I mean, do you like how it sounds? You know, it doesn't sound as good. I mean, good and bad are... okay, now you're listening to the MKE. Sorry, I had it switched. So this is the MKE. And then this is the KSM-44, which, I mean, to me sounds better. But it's a totally different kind of microphone. Different cost. You know, it's in a different preamp. I don't think I can hear the difference in converters. I've never been able to do it blind. The preamp makes an almost imperceptible difference in most cases. And the microphone is the big one. It's in a different location as well. Okay, so now we're back on the MKE. So let's just listen to that difference first, which I've already done, but it's a good control. Okay, good. It's nice when stuff works. So, God, I have the microphone so loud in my ears. Like, why is it this loud? It's ridiculous. It needs to be loud. It needs to be loud for you guys. Because I don't do any post-processing. But I am using a limiter and OBS. So, anyway, let's listen to this here on sounds. Well, the off mic sound is really quiet from the KSM, as it should be. So, what do you think? Do you like how it sounds? You know, it doesn't sound as good. I mean, good and bad are... okay, now you're listening to the MKE. Sorry, I had it switched. So this is the MKE. It's a big difference. I mean, just, of course, it's a big difference, man. You know. But it's weird to hear like two different mics pointed at you in the same room when you're just moving around. Different kinds of mics also. So yeah, listen. This is the one in the background here. Can you guys see my mouse movements on this video screen? Yeah, you can. So we're listening in this video, not me right now, but when I play this back to the KSM off axis and about. I'm facing the opposite direction, so that matters too. About like not quite 3 feet away. You're listening to it. So that's that. What do you think? I mean, do you like how it sounds? You're obviously hearing mostly the room. So that's, you know, even though I have acoustic treatment in the room, the acoustic response isn't perfect. Not even close. Well, I mean, it's close, but when I'm speaking into the untreated room and it's reflecting back, obviously you're getting a lot of that room tone. Yeah, it doesn't sound as good. I mean, good and bad are... But you hear how much better it gets even just as I turn a little and get a little closer, as it gets into that polar pattern, the cardioid polar pattern. Okay, now you're listening to the MKE. Sorry. All right, so now what we're hearing there is the direct sound of the MKE, although it is pointed sort of at my shoulder. It's sort of pointed over here behind the panel. It was pointed across, but that points toward the kitchen. And one thing I've noticed with this shotgun is it's not like it sees into the future, but it sees whatever's in front of it. And if that thing happens to be like a mile away, if it's directly in front of that mic, and you know that sound is not masked by the other sounds happening, that mic is going to hear it. I don't know about a mile, but certainly to the back of my kitchen. So I'm like, let me point it at the acoustic panel, and then it hears basically nothing. So I could change the whole location of it. It kind of gets in the way of my door. But that's kind of what I wanted to experiment with today. It was not comparing the MKE shotgun with the KSM condenser. Excuse me. Oh look, I can monitor through OBS now. Was that always possible? Even if the mic is muted? Yep, that's convenient. But yeah, it wasn't to compare those two mics. It was to compare like maybe some different positions or settings on this preamp compressor combo that I got here, to see if I could sort of reduce the sibilance. And I mean, obviously the compressor is lowering the dynamic range, which brings up the ambient noise, but it also allows the overall volume, the RMS, to be higher in my voice. And like I'm saying, I was sort of suffering from like too quiet of videos, so a little compression helps. And I also, I'm like 90% sure that I have a filter. It's funny that the MKE doesn't show up in the sources, but the KSM44 does. I don't know why. Does that mean that's so weird, because I have a filter on Reaper, but yeah, I can't put a filter on the desktop. Oh yeah, I can if I click here. That's so strange. I have a limiter like at 1 dB on the MKE, and I don't have one on the KSM. But then again, I think I have the gain lower. It looks, yeah, it is lower. It's peaking at like minus 40-ish, and the other one's at, the one I'm speaking to now is like kind of like minus maybe 16. That was minus 6 and minus 24, so there's about an 18 dB difference between them. But that suits me fine, because when I use each one, they sound the same. Obviously because of the proximity, right? So yeah, MKE, KSM. Let's go back to the video. Alright, I had it switched. So this, see, to me it doesn't really even sound that bad. It just sounds like me in a room, which is where I'm at, the MKE. And then this is the KSM44, which, I mean, to me sounds better. I mean, maybe I just have a very sibilant voice, because I'm hearing that same kind of sharp sibilance in the KSM as I am in the MKE. So to me that indicates that. It's not just the mics, and it's not just the positioning. I don't even know if that's desirable. But it's a totally different kind of microphone. Different cost. You know, it's in a different preamp. I don't think I can hear the difference in converters. I've never been able to do it blind. The preamp makes an almost imperceptible difference in most cases. And the microphone is the big one that's in a different location as well. Okay, so now we're back on the MKE. So let's just listen to that difference first. No, the MKE sounds good. It almost seems like it could use a bass boost, but it has a filter on it. I'm employing the filter. I'm also using the filter on the KSM, the 6 dB per octave filter. But the filter on the MKE is sharper. You know what? I don't have that spec on me. I like to keep sort of the manuals lately on hand. I'm 90% sure I don't have the MKE 600. I have a test manual. Yeah, I don't have the manual, but I'm gonna grab it. Sorry, I'm having like a fucking moment with my execution here today. There it is. It's a nice mic, dude. Let me see what the specs say. I know there's not much to it. Low cut switch. The foam windscreen attenuates noise. Wind noise, which there's not a lot of wind happening in my apartment. But I think I tested it without it and I preferred it with. Or I was just like, it's just worth it just for the dust protection. Okay, so it's a 100 hertz filter. So it's higher than the KSM44's filter, but what kind of a filter is it? Okay, with the filter engaged. It's the same kind of roll-off. So you guys want to see? Kind of talking to myself here. You guys want to see what I got? Check it out. Yeah, there you go. See that? Let's pop open. There you go. So, yeah. So we, this mic has a little bit of a presence boost at 7K. But you know, this is a manufacturer curve. So honestly, who knows exactly what it looks like? It looks nice on paper, but in reality, is it really like this? But that's the trend. At least that's the best thing we have going. It seems like I'm saying, you know, it doesn't seem wrong. I'm going to download this. I don't know if I already did or not. Didn't. Let's grab that. Let's rename it. Fuck it. And then, I don't know if I have the KSM44 manual. I don't even know if they let you download it. Would be nice. Oh yeah, boom. Yeah, I don't know, man. I'm not like super boomer, like print the fucking manual, you know? Put it in a binder and shit. I'll tell you honestly, I tried to learn Logic 5.5 in San Francisco back in like 2000, I don't know, 2-ish. I was trying to learn Logic 5.5. I got a copy. I had a Mac Pro. I don't know, I had like saved money or something or another. And I couldn't learn shit, dude. Let's look at it, man. Dude, there was like 7 manuals. I didn't even know where to start. I didn't know anything about DAWs, you know, much less a lot about computers. So, and then the Mac Pro had like a Wi-Fi problem. So anyway, the point is, I like manuals now. especially, you know, I've been reading them since I was like a teenager, trying to understand them. I was trying to read like the Elise's 36, no, the 3630, sorry. I almost tried to get privilege there. Yeah, imagine I'm like 14 with a 33609, like, sup guys, you want to record a demo? Yeah, no, it was a 3630, and I was like trying to understand the knee of a compressor, and dude, I don't think I had encountered a more difficult concept in my entire life. And the truth is that it even gets deeper than it seems, because with compressor ratios, like, the maximum reduction is never reached or something. It might be like audibly reached, but it's like a limit, so it just keeps compressing forever. Something from math that I don't know how to prove, but you can look it up. Limit theory or something. Oh, I have a web page. Limit theory. Math. Yeah, calculus. In calculus, the limit is the value of a function, approaches as the input gets closer to a specific value. It represents the behavior of a function near a point rather than at the point. Limits form the foundation of calculus and compressors, defining key concepts like continuity, derivatives, and integrals. So even though I can pronounce those words, I don't really have a lot of training in them. I could learn. That's what I learned from Khan Academy. I can learn anything. But I am at least passingly familiar with the fact that applies to compressors. So, you know, I didn't understand that at the time. But the point is, I like manuals. I don't necessarily want to print them, but I do like having the PDFs locally. So since we have both of those locally now, let's just close this fucking browser. Even though that was useful to you, but now I'm going to have to open another browser, Firefox. And did you hear me? I don't know, Firefox is asleep. More like Sleepy Fox. Sleepy Fox, wake up. There we go. Sleepy Fox in the house. Let me make this a little bit more pretty for you. Sleepy Fox, Sleepy Fox, Sleepy Fox. Dude, OBS should have snapping, like in the center. Like, it should just have, like, center this source button. Watch, there is. I bet there is. I don't see it. Should have that. So yeah, let's look at this manual. Isn't it a nice manual? Oh, no table of contents. That's sweet. Integral pop filter, setting attenuation, selecting low frequency response. This is such a good mic, guys. If you guys ever have a chance to get it, I mean, you hear it. Do you like it? I think it's great. So you have an 18 dB per octave at 80 hertz, and then you have a 6 at 115. And that's the minus 3 dB point. So we're taking clear off. It's almost 400 hertz, but that's how I like my voice sounding better, which doesn't surprise me because I tend to roll off a lot of bass in general, like in mixing. I'm probably not alone in that. And then I swear, man, I know how to use a computer. OBS, on the other hand, is a whole different fucking story. There, you can see this now. Hallelujah. And let's look at the filter. We see what it does, and they call it a low cut filter, quote unquote. It looks like a proper filter, and I'd argue that it actually sounds like one too. So we're sitting at like minus 35-ish. So we're looking at minus 38. Boom. So it's about at the same frequency, 3 dB, but you saw the slope is different. So this is more of like a proper high-pass filter. How many dB per octave would that be? So we're looking at 38. So it's close to 75, not quite 80 hertz. We're looking at almost minus 50, 48. So we went from 38 to 48. So that's 10 dB. Of course, it's never exact. So it's probably like, what, like a 12 second order? Is that a second order filter? 12 dB per octave? So it's steeper than the KSM. Again, the KSM does have the 18 dB per octave at 80 hertz, but I don't like how that sounds on me. Yeah, super cardioid also, totally different polar pattern. I like this mic. I think I could use a little bass boost. Yeah, but we're already kind of cutting some out. So kind of where I'd want it, it doesn't have any. What was the filter slope like? Let me just open it up here. What? There's no like open fucking file? Seriously, I gotta like know the path to it. Does globbing work? I've been on Linux, man, like, oops. No, it doesn't, so, I don't know. That's super crazy. What about this? Copy file, copy full path. Paste. Oh, there we go. So, no frequency response, yeah. So we're at 0. So that was basically, let's say, minus 35-ish. Okay, so minus 35, doesn't matter though. So at 0, we're at 3 dB at 115 hertz, it says. So we want to get down to 120, like 60 hertz. Boom. Yeah, we're at like minus 6. So yeah, it's pretty gentle. 3 dB. They call it 6 dB per octave. I don't know why on the charts there must be, if you guys know, how come when I read like the actual graph it doesn't match the spec? I think there's a reason for that, and I don't know what it is. Because they're saying 115, right? So that's like minus 3, we know. Because minus 3 is the how you label a filter. And it's about 120, right? So we got to go to 60. And instead of minus 3, we're at like minus 7. So it's like 4 dB, right? And then if we were at 60, we went to 30. I mean, is that what you have to do? You have to go to the next octave and then go again? So 60 to 30. We go from 8 to 13. That's like 6 dB. Maybe that's it. Like from the cutoff to the next one. But that's what we did, and then it was only like 4. But you see that it's not straight either. So I don't know, man. I don't know. But the point is that you know, my voice. Let's say right now it's around 120 hertz. Let's say it's around there. Do I have my keyboard on? Oh shit, my keyboard. You're not sending MIDI. A Reaper is not receiving MIDI. That happens sometimes. I wish it didn't. I don't know why that happens. I wonder if that's going to happen on Linux. I hope it doesn't. I wonder if my fucking keyboard's even going to work. because it's automatically recognized in Reaper, like the roll-in piano, digital piano, it says that. I wonder if that'll happen when I run this shit on Linux. We'll see. Alright, piano. Just, nothing still? Oh. Nothing. No fucking MIDI being sent. Okay. That's... kind of annoying. The thing is that that would happen with the M audio all the time, but it hasn't happened with Reaper and this keyboard until recently. It could also be the Melda update. I don't think so, because Reaper wasn't even receiving MIDI. So, oh shit, that scares the fuck out of me. Okay, all that just to know what the... So, G2, G4, G3, G2. So I know that's 400 minus 8 divided by 2, that's 3, that's 2. So 98 hertz, my voice kind of bottoming out at. So that means 100 hertz, boom, I'm like 4 dB down. Whereas 100 hertz here, from 35 to 45, or about 8 dB down. 8 dB versus 4 dB, so twice. Well, I don't know how to factor, like turn decibels into percentages, but it's 4 decibels more on the M key, and you can hear it. And I'm not sure that I really want to. Okay, so it's not exactly easy. Am I reading this right? To convert decibels to percentage, use the formula percentage equals 100 times 10 to the power of the decibel divided by 10. I'm guessing that would be the 100 part. What about the difference in decibels? So these look like an invert, like, no, they're not quite inverse. 10 to the power of -4 divided by 10. Dude, I don't even know how to do that. -4 divided by 10, so wouldn't that just be like, yeah, 4 divided by 10? What's 4 divided by 10? 0.4? Right. So how is that 10 to the power of... That's weird. Half percent? Like 2%? Oh. So, okay. So it just, you need the more complicated one. So does that mean, so basically it means that the lower filter in this case is 40% more. It passes 40% of the other filter. No, I just mean at 100 Hertz, filter A is 4 dB quieter. So 40% of the reference power? I mean, but why? Okay. Ten dB is half or twice as loud. So it's 40% of a reduction in amplitude. So power, power, which is what, like voltage times current? I forgot. And then amplitude would be just for the voltage. Wait, voltage is the potential. Pressure, which is sort of like voltage. And samples, which they're saying is like the equivalent of this. Amplitude ratio. When applied to sound pressure level. Perceived loudness. Right, with like the equal loudness contour. This is like definitely part of the audio engineering that I'm not super sharp with, because it seems kind of abstract, you know. Some of oh look, it's using GPT-5 MIDI. Some of the acoustic stuff is a little bit more something I grasp a little better because I've been using the materials and I've thought about it. But the whole like decibel thing kind of seems abstract. I can read graphs and stuff, but like being like, oh well, because this is where are we at like 120 hertz or so. Is that what we're doing? Here we're at -3. And we're at -3. 34. We need to be 2 dB down here, so like around 150-ish. So that's 30 hertz difference. I mean, it's noticeable. But then once we get to 120, we're down almost 6 dB. So it's 3 more dB, 4 dB more of a difference, which they're saying means the microphone we're listening to now has 40% less amplitude than this one, although this one is also has the proximity effect at play. So we know they sound different. They sound significantly different. So for a variety of reasons, not just the bass. But I was just thinking, like listening to this, I was like, the bass isn't the best. But if I start adding it, you know, I'm boosting a lot of room tone as well, because I don't know how much closer I could even put it to me, or how much of a difference that would even make, or if I'd even like that difference. Let's go back to VLC, not VLC, MPV. I don't know why Firefox popped up. Wasn't supposed to. I think because I assigned the source to that for some reason. Because for whatever reason, I cannot assign MPV to, there it is. Maybe it was asleep. Which I've already done, but it's a good control. Different cost than a different location, which I've already done, but it's yeah, you see what I mean? I want to improve that, and you guys are here with me to figure it out. So what can I do to improve my microphone sound? It's gonna have to do with moving it closer, I think. I just don't know how much closer I can get it, especially without don't get me wrong, I can I can move it closer. But will that make it usable? I'm gonna have to look. Okay, so we're back, and I think it sounds a little better. Let's give it a little bit of listen. You can't see it in the frame. That's a plus. I have the GoPro. That's having it pointed back toward my shoulder. Here's having it pointed more toward my chest, kind of ish. Still toward like my neck, actually. I could lower it. Let's listen to that. Toward like my neck, actually. You can't see it in the frame. That's a plus. I have the GoPro. I feel like I'm hearing more background noise. Yeah, you know what's crazy? Is the only thing that's on right now is the fucking fridge. Dude, these old ass fridges. Do the new ones make as much noise? Because the old ones are loud as a motherfucker. We're just used to it, but like they're so loud. That's having it pointed back toward my shoulder. Here's having it pointed more toward my chest, kind of ish. Still toward like my neck, actually. I could lower it. Let's listen to that. Alright, I'm gonna listen to the other one. Which, I mean, to me sounds better. But is it... Okay, now you're listening to the MKE. Okay, now you're listening to the MKE. Okay. And then... Okay, now you're listening to the MKE. Okay, 30 seconds in. Give it a little bit of listen. You can't see it in the frame. That's a plus. Seems louder. That's having it pointed back toward my shoulder. Okay. Sorry, I had it switched. Good and bad. Okay, now you're listening to the MKE. Sorry. I have the GoPro. That's having it pointed back toward my shoulder. Here's having it pointed more toward my chest. Kind of. I think back toward the shoulder was a little better. I think that's even more than I had it, but we'll see how that works. Having it pointed back toward my shoulder. I had it switched. So this sounds better. Alright, I might have fucked it up. Let me do one more. I think I moved it too far, but we'll try it anyway. Okay, so this is with it pointed like basically into the corner, and it's pretty sensitive actually. Like it's a little mounty thing. Okay. I don't think it's like pointed at my face. Okay, so this is with it pointed like basically into the corner. A little mounty thing. Okay. I don't think it's like pointed at my face. Okay, so this is with it pointed like basically pointed at my face. Okay, so this is with it's pretty tolerant. Maybe it's a little bit better like this. It's not super sensitive to the positioning, it doesn't seem like. Alright, last check. It sounds a little more off. Now it's pointed kind of like toward my right boob. Sounds a little bit more bassy, which would make sense. That's actually a good little hack. So it's kind of actually toward my clavicle or chin. Now it's more center mass. Alright, last check. It sounds a little more off. Now it's pointed kind of like toward my right boob. Sounds a little bit more bassy, which would make sense. That's actually a good little hack. Clavicle or chin. Now it's more center mass. Alright, last check. It sounds a little more off. Now it's pointed kind of like toward my right boob. Sounds a little bit more bassy. Clavicle or chin. That sounds good, right? I think we've made an improvement, guys. So let's go with the old one. 30 seconds. Okay, now you're listening to the MKE. Yeah, okay, that's the same familiar sound. Sounds a little more off. Now it's pointed kind of like toward my right boob. Sounds a little bit more bassy, which would make sense. Alright, so actually a good little hack. Sorry, I had it switched. So this damn, I kinda like that old one. The MKE. Toward my right boob. But it's way louder also. Sounds a little bit more bassy. Okay, now you're listening to the MKE, which would make sense. That's actually a good little hack. So it's kind of actually toward my clavicle or chin. Now it's more center. Alright, I had it switched. So this is the MKE. Okay, now you're listening to the MKE. Clavicle or chin. Now it's more center. Sorry, I had it switched. So this is the. Now it's more center. MKE. Good and bad. Okay, now you're listening to the MKE. Clavicle or chin. Kind of like toward my last check. It's. Alright, last check. Sorry, I had it switched. So this. You know, there's honestly not like a huge difference. My fucking cat sleeps like, starts like moaning and shit. Alright, let me do the last little full voice check with the microphone in the new spot. I would like to think that it's better. If I walk back, I don't know if it's worse. It's not like I really need to have it back here. Yeah, I really don't think that it was, that it's better here. I don't know if I want to move it back, though. I do think it's a little louder. Alright, let me do the last little full voice check with the microphone in the new spot. I would like to think that it's better. I walk back. I don't know if it's worse. Here is my default sound. Your list part sound, good and bad are. MKE, sorry, I had it switched. So this is the MKE. Yeah, I really don't think that it was, that it's better here. this is... Okay, now you're listening to the MKEs. I don't know if I want to move it back though. I do think it's a little louder. Alright, let me do the last little full voice check. Sorry, I had it switched. So this is the end. Alright, it's no worse. With the MKE. If anything, the noise is a little better. Microphone in the new spot. I would like to think that it's better. Alright, let me do the last little full voice. Okay, now you're listening to the MKE. Sorry, I check with the microphone in the new spot. Alright, I think that mainly what we got was a couple dB better signal to noise. Not a huge improvement. I was actually kind of expecting it to be a little better. But now let's play with the preamp settings a little bit. I think I did take a photo of the existing settings. No, I didn't. Of course, that's like the worst, most useless photo possible. So the gain's almost like cranked, and then the compressor's on half. And I think the more button is engaged. Okay, so let's take out the more button. This is not with more, and this is with more. Here's the compressor on 10, and the light is on, which I think means it's reducing gain. Back it off. No, it's not. I think it goes into like a turbo mode or something. No. So yeah, it says gain reduction. I mean, I don't know how it's going to say that there's no gain reduction when there's the more button, unless the more button is just gain. Here's compression. There's still compression. I think it might change the ratio. I don't know, it makes it quieter. So here's the compressor on 10. Backing it off just so the background noise is not compressed. And then, oh, so the gain feeds into the compression, because when I turn the gain up, the compressor kicks on. I guess that makes sense, right? And now I backed off the compressor until it doesn't compress the background noise. And then this is without more, and then this is with more. I hear more. I hear more background noise as well. So is that gain? I think so, because the compressor light is now on. So there, I backed it off till the compressor's not compressing background noise. So there. So here's with more compressor set, so it's not compressing background noise. Here's disengaged. And then the setting where it's not compressing background noise. I feel like the more button is worthwhile because I don't get a ton of movement. Although, look, I am way up in the red on my meter here, so I might be distorting into the clipper as well. So, I don't know. Let's hear how that sounds. Let's listen quiet first. All right, I'll listen to that in a second. Let's look at the graph, man. I need to be able to hear myself, or I just feel totally disconnected. Why can't I? This is as it goes. Okay, so yeah, let's look at this. Normal mode and then more mode. Who names this shit? So off, we don't even have a linear response. So off is reducing the peaks above clipping, apparently, in a soft way. So I don't know how they reconcile that with the converters. Min gives us some gain, but starts to top off around the top 10 dB. So your peaks, you're going to catch some peaks here. This is like a soft clipping mode. Our input is the same until around 10 dB, 8 dB, and then as we come up, I don't know exactly how to read this. It would have gone here, so we would have been at like -3 or +3 instead we're at 0. So that's within like 8 dB. So within 8 dB, instead of being at 3, it's at 0. So that's -3. So 5. So it's like a 8-to-5 ratio, almost like a 2-to-1. Is that right? So yeah, like minimum is like a 2-to-1. The threshold lower, like -8. Mid really fucking lowers the threshold because, like it said, it's kind of like a threshold makeup gain. So we're already getting reduction at like -20. At which point we end up at -2, so we would be at like 8, so it's like 10 dB. So what is that? Would be at 8-ish. We end up at -2, so 10 dB. What the hell? So it's 10 to or 8 to -10. Is that what I'm reading right? The ratio here, 8 to -2. I'm gonna need help here. Yeah, it's a 10 dB difference. But I mean, but oh, so you're saying that you can't just do the dB directly? So every 6 is every 10 is 1/3. So that's 3 to 1. .16 to 1. But come on. Okay, so if I'm not totally wrong, you start with like basically just soft clipping. Minimum is like a 2 to 1. Mid is like a 3 to 1. I'll feed this into ChatGPT and see. And then max is like a huge difference. So max, instead of being like 12, it ends up at -12. So that's like a 24 dB difference. So I don't know. It's probably more than 4 to 1, but I'll take an image and see what the LLM says about this. -12. So what would be +12 is reduced to -12. Is it? Because look, it doesn't look like way more to me. Look, here's max, right? Max is trending. Oh, maybe I overestimated it a little bit. Maybe it would be like maybe 10. So instead of 10, it's -12. I wasn't that far off. Input goes from -20 to 0 dB. No, I don't think it's reading it right. -20. No, I don't think it's reading the graph right. But yeah, I mean, it would go there, so I mean, the threshold's at like -50. Okay, so maybe I was reading that part wrong. But the threshold's at like -42. but then it ends up at minus 12 instead of where it would be at like minus 10. The knee is around minus 42 dB, no? Okay, right, it's a curve, so it's not like a fixed ratio. I'm not convinced, man. Not convinced. Yeah, I can see that it's not a fixed ratio, but 3.3 to 1. So, well, these LLMs are giving me different answers, so I can't be blamed for not knowing. Maybe I'm not prompting it correctly. Anyway, oops. I didn't want to close that, actually. Yeah, fuck, I didn't want to close that. My bad. I like that the links are clickable. Well, thanks to Focusrite. And then here we see that the ratios do increase quite a bit, right? And you get more gain. Although the gain is happening around the gain reduction. No, it's happening a little bit higher. Well, you know, reading all this stuff doesn't really mean shit at the end of the day. You can see that this is pretty much limiting at this point. And it goes to like an inverted value at the very top. Let's ask the LLM what it thinks. I don't know which one I trust more. Okay, whatever. So it's basically saying like it's moving from like a 2 to 1 overall to a 4 to 1. I don't know if I agree with that. I guess mid and max aren't that different, just max has a lower threshold. Could that be it? kinda, not really. Mid is not as steep. So you're lowering the threshold and increasing the ratio of even the off mode. Or are you? No, off is pretty similar. So that's the knob. Okay. Damn, I don't know why I keep closing that, but I do. And now it's gone. And it's gone. So anyway, we've seen it. I don't remember what else I was going to do. I was going to ask Gemini. Okay, they agree on that. So we're basically going from like a 2-to-1 to a 4-to-1. They're saying vocals, acoustic instruments, or bus glue, bass drums, or aggressive peak taming. Yeah. So that's weird. So yeah, the compressor knob, that's sort of interesting. It's not only lowering the threshold, it's not increasing the input gain. It's lowering the threshold and increasing the ratio. Interesting. And then the more is sort of like a fixed ratio increase. Interesting. Okay. So let's hear how that sounds. I'm going to turn the volume up this time. So this setting was preamp on 9, compressor in the more mode. How did I end up right now with the more mode off? Was the compressor in the more mode? Yes, it was, and it was at about half, mid. So let's just, that's what this sounds like. So there was compression probably happening, although the light, I never saw the light going on. You can hear my cat squeaking. I think I did take a photo of the existing settings. No, I didn't. Of course, that's up there. Let's use this photo. So the gain's almost like down to them. The pressure's on half. I think the more button is in here. Okay, so let's take out the more button. This is not more. This is pretty more. Here's the compressor on 10, and the light is on, which I think means it's reducing gain. Back it off. No, it's not. I think it goes into like a turbo mode or something. No. So yeah, it says gain reduction. I mean, I don't know how it's going to say that there's no gain reduction when there's the more button, unless the more button is just gain. Here's compression. There's still compression. I think it might change the ratio. I don't know, it makes it quieter. So here's the compressor on 10. Backing it off just so the background noise is not compressed. And then, oh, so the gain feeds into the compression, because when I turn the gain up, the compressor kicks on. I guess that makes sense, right? And now I backed off the compressor until it doesn't compress the background noise. And then this is without more, and then this is with more. I hear more. I hear more background noise as well. So is that gain? I think so, because the compressor light is now on. So there, I backed it off till the compressor is not compressing background noise. So there. So here's with more compressor set, so it's not compressing background noise. Here's disengaged. And then the setting where it's not compressing background noise. I feel like the more button is worthwhile because I don't get a ton of movement. Although look, I am way up in the red on my meter here, so I might be distorting into the clipper as well. So I don't know, this is without more, and then this is with more. I guess that makes sense, right? And now I backed off the compressor until it just doesn't compress the background noise, and then this is without more. Doesn't compress the background noise, and then this is without more, and this is with, I hear more background noise as well. So is that gain? And now I backed off the compressor until it doesn't compress the background noise, and then this is without more, and then this is with more. I hear more. I hear more background noise as well. So is that gain? I think so. This compressor light is not on. So there, I backed it off till the... I'll tell you what, let's do one more comparison. Just directly. So this is a comparison between basically having the more button off, which is what we hear now, and with the compression engaging as I speak. And this is pretty much the same thing. You have to adjust the volume, but then this is the compressor acting as I speak. It's not affecting the background noise, so the settings are pretty much equal in terms of how much compression is happening. I just did some adjustments. It looks like the compressor is a little bit more snappy here. It could just be the setting. Let's go back to normal mode. Okay, we're in normal mode. It does seem, yeah, okay, so set to the same kind of snappy, barely touching setting, or just flashing light, not steady state. This is normal mode. It's obviously quieter. And then we barely have to back off the compression amount. As we saw, like the thresholds don't change much. It's mostly the ratio and the makeup gain. This has me hitting my meter like in the red. Unfortunately, I don't have an exact reading of what that is, which is fine. I can control the digital gain, but I never heard any distortion on my demos, so this is more. And again, let's go back. Yeah, it's almost like you don't really need to change the compressor once you have it set. It doesn't change that much. More, is it changing? Doesn't change that much. No, not really. I'd say it's about the same. So I wasn't hearing huge difference. I hear it more like when I'm speaking, but it's not a huge difference. I mean, at least at this setting, I don't really want to crush it. So let's just listen to these two. I left it on with more, so that's the last thing we'll hear. So this is a comparison between basically having more button off, with the compression engaging as I speak. unfortunately I don't have an exact reading of what that is. Let's go back. Yeah, it's almost like you don't really need to change the compressor once you have it set. It doesn't change that much. More. You could hear that right there. When I said I, you could hear the compression. It sounds fine. It doesn't sound bad. Yeah, I'm gonna listen. Let's listen to it just with one earbud. Let me listen to it. Button off, which is what we hear now, and with the compression engaging at SP. And this is pretty much the same thing. You have to adjust the volume, but then this is the compressor acting as SP. It's not affecting the background noise. So the settings are so set to the same kind of snappy, barely touching setting, or just flashing light, not steady state. In normal mode, it's obviously quieter. And then we barely have to back up the compression now. As we saw, like the ratio, sorry, the thresholds don't change much. It's mostly the ratio and the meter. This has me hidden meter, like infrared. Unfortunately, I don't have an exact reading of what it is, which is fine. I can control the digital gain, but I'm not hearing. I never heard any distortion in my demos, so this is more. Let's go back. Yeah, it's almost like you don't really need to change the compressor once you have it set. It doesn't change that much. Well, I'll tell you. Well, I'm all clipping like a motherfucker right now. I could probably turn it down so it doesn't clip. And then I just turn the compressor up. What if I just max the compressor out and turn the input gain down? Oh, because it's going to compress everything. Testing 1 2. Testing 1 2 1 2 1 2. Testing. I'm just wondering. Okay. Well, now I've totally changed the whole gain structure of the mic. I can not even really hear it anymore. So, I guess in OBS, now but I need to get more gain than this. So maybe I'll just turn the compressor off. I will crank the gain until, until it's like what, I don't know, minus 20? How do I make the fucking meters reset? OBS, it's like, it has a nice little mixer, but like, why can't they just put some features that make it useful, like resetting the meter with click? Alright, so yeah, alright, we're peaking around minus 18-ish, and then bring this up until it's compressing. Look, I'm compressing. Oh my god, isn't that great? Alright, now we're peaking at -6. So at least our gain staging is better. We're not peaking like a crazy monster, so. More, is it changing? Doesn't change that much. No, not really. I'd say it's about the same. So, I wasn't hearing huge difference. I hear it more like when I'm speaking. No, not really. It's about the same. So, I wasn't hearing huge difference. I hear it more. It does seem. Yeah. Okay. So set to the same kind of snappy, barely touch as me hitting my meter, like in the red. Unfortunately, I don't have an exact reading of it. Okay. So I'm going to do like one more check. I didn't really love those settings. I just changed it. Plus I was clipping in OBS. I do have like, how many decibels of gain? 11 dB of gain on my mics. But I'm not going to change that because they're all kind of lifted. Because, you know, this is like a studio environment, so I have my mic set low on purpose. I don't, and OBS is broadcasting for me, so it makes sense that I'm adding gain there, not in the preamp. I don't want to clip it, actually clip it. So let's do one last test. Okay, so this one last test. Now I'm peaking around -6 dB in OBS. Yeah, the compressor is hitting. Not everything that I'm saying, I wouldn't say, but I guess if I get loud, basically the main change we did was we lowered the gain a touch, and then we brought the compressor up from like noon to about 9 o'clock, and it goes to about 5. Sorry, 3. So we moved it from about noon to 3, and it goes to 5. So it's like 80%. So it's definitely compressing more toward the 4-to-1 range, like the high 3s. I didn't think it sounded that bad. The previous example that I had given, I don't know. I don't know what we had different. I think we had a little bit more gain and a little bit less compression. Because remember, the compressor also creates makeup gain, but overall my gain in OBS is lower. Like I was even just at this level peaking. So this will be quieter, probably by 5 dB or so. We'll see how bad that is. And we can always adjust. I can always just crank the fucking compressor up. That way we're getting max dynamic range. But I felt like that created sort of a overly processed sound without the more button. It felt a little bit NPR. And I feel like my energy is maybe not quite as hyped as some other YouTubers. I'm certainly not doing as much editing as of now. So I would like to have some sort of a finished, energetic thing, and compression helps with that. So let's hear that just clipped. My little those clip. I don't know. I'm going to even be able to hear the clipping artifacts with that kind of a sound. But yeah, so let me see if I can hit something. Yeah, that clip. Oh, stop my recording too. So you guys hear me. Let's listen to it. Yeah, the compressor is hitting. Not everything that I'm saying, I wouldn't say, but I guess if I get loud, basically the main change we did was we lowered the gain a touch. You know what, that sounds pretty good. Let me pull the original that I had out of the trash. Center full voice. Old location. New location. Let's restore those. More versus normal. Okay. Lowered gain. So let's listen to the old location. And then the new one, just to hear the total difference. In OBS. Does it really sound? Did it really sound that bad? Holy crap! We made a huge improvement. Oh no, duh! I forgot. Remember, I had the wrong mic on, so this isn't the sound that we had before. This was it. Now you're listening to the MKE. Sorry, I had it switched. So this. All right, and then, yeah, the compressor is hitting. We're getting a lot more gain, that's for sure. This is the MKE. Okay, now you're listening to the MKE. Not everything that I'm saying I wouldn't say, but there is hitting. Sorry, I had it switched. So this is the MKE. Okay, now you're listening to the MKE. Not everything that I'm saying I wouldn't say, but it's a lot more polished. Sorry, I had it switched. So this is the MKE. Why does it feel like the volume keeps fucking changing? Okay, now you're listening to the MKE. Sorry. God, it just feels like it keeps getting louder and louder. Okay, now you're listening to the MKE. Why does it sound so loud? The volume won't drop. Okay. I guess if yeah, if I get loud. It sounded okay, I guess. Like I was just at this level, so this could be quieter. Okay, now you're listening to me. Sorry, I had to switch to this. Probably by 5 dB or so. Let's see how bad that is. So here I'm at volume 32%. Here it's 40. So we actually gained some gain. 28. So yeah, we gained some volume for sure. But I didn't raise the preamp gain. We just increased the compression ratio, which increased the gain. And we set the compressor so it's actually working. At least according to the light. I think we're getting a better sound now too. Let's see. I think we had more bass before. It's a whole different sound. It's more elevated sound. Less bass, I guess. Oh, damn, I'm kind of wondering if I should move it back. And then redo the settings. I don't know if I want to go through all that right now. This one's better. The new one's better. You don't need all that extra bass. It's not going to help in the majority of cases. It sounds kind of nice, I guess, but you're getting, you know, more of a frequency response that's going to travel in the other one. So you're getting kind of like more audibility per decibel. Let's listen to how it sounds here with these. These are a little different. Kind of a lot different, actually, but no, they're not that different. Different enough. I didn't think it sounded that bad. This sounds better. This one does sound more bassy, but this one sounds more present. This one does sound more compressed. Let's listen to it full volume. Okay, now you're listening to the MKE. Sorry. My little fucking way louder. And then we brought the compressor up. Alright, I had it switched. So this is the MKE. Okay, now you're listening to the MKE. Sorry, I had it switched. From like noon. Getting more voice out of it too, because we moved the mic closer, so we changed the ratio of direct to room sound. So that's a technical improvement. To about 9 o'clock. Good and bad are. Okay, now you're listening to the MKE. Clock. And it was, we lowered the gain a touch. It's hard to compare them. Sorry, I had it switched. So this is different. And then we brought the compressor up from like noon to about 9. I'm giving the nod to the new version. I bet you I could get a better okay. I'll put this shit in the archive. I don't need it right now. I'm gonna listen on the main speakers. My default sound right now, okay. The thing is, it's this Focusrite dynamic, and it's not terrible. Maybe I'll take pictures of the settings. It's not terrible. listening to it. So, what do you think? Do you like how it sounds?
I am not monitoring myself, but let's hear now. This is the MKE in the new location with the high pass filter off, because I liked a more bassy sound. Over on this side of the room there's more acoustic treatment. Well, actually that's not even true, so I don't know why. It's closer to the acoustic treatment. That could have something to do with it. It may have been more directly underneath a panel, ceiling panel, but I didn't have the high pass filter. I had the high pass filter engaged previously because the microphone was further away. It was picking up some room resonance that I didn't like. So now that it's closer, let's hear how we're doing with bass. I am not monitoring myself, but let's hear now. This is the MKE in the new location. Sounds buttery. Turn this off so you don't get double. I don't know about you, man, but that sounds a lot better to me. At least in the speaker. Oh, the sound on the earbuds. Not like it matters. Speaker's the final arbiter of truth, but it doesn't hurt to check. Okay, so this one last test. Now I'm peaking around -6. I am not monitoring myself. TV in OBS. But let's hear now. This is the MKE in the new location. Way better. Yeah, compressor with the high pass filter off. It's hitting not everything, but I'm because I like the more bassy sound over on this side. There's more. I guess, yeah, like about that created sort of overlay process. Actually, that's not even true. So I don't know why. It's closer to the street. That is out more 11 felt with NPR. And I feel like my envision is maybe not quite as height as some of the speakers have been more correct on. But I didn't have high pass filter. I had the high pass filter engaged previously because the microphone was further away. It was picking up some room resonance that I didn't like. Doing as much editing as of now. So I would like to have some sort of a finished energetic thing, and compression helped. So now that it's closer, let's hear how we're doing with bass. It may have been more directly underneath the panel with that, so. Okay, and that doesn't really change. We do get clipping, but we already know that that's not really audible on those peaks. Yeah. All right, so yeah, I can hear the difference. Yeah, I can hear the difference in the mic as well. I don't know if I really like to hear the bass in my voice with the headphones. I mean, I'm not gonna sit here and tweak all that, but yeah, so cool. We improved the audio quality for sure. We improved the signal direct to ambient. Yeah, the direct to ambient, so signal to noise, I guess. We improved the bass response because we moved it closer. We have less of a ratio of room resonances. We changed the compression settings, so it's just better. I mean, all we really did was increase the compression, actually. Maybe lowered the gain just a touch. We learned, well, we did a refresher on how the compressor works, which is, it's like a one knob ratio threshold makeup gain knob. So it's like a macro, basically a compressor macro knob. It works pretty well. I would say it's not too obtrusive, mostly functional. It's not like I feel like I'm going through a fucking LA 2A or like a Fairchild or something, but it's good enough. It slightly finishes the sound, and I feel like it had a little. Of course, you know, compression's gonna affect our at least perception of bass, but I didn't feel like adding the bass back into the mic really had a negative effect. The mic already has a high-pass filter at like 40 hertz, if you remember the graph. So yeah, we covered a lot of stuff. We let me mute my mic while I type. Yeah, so I'd say that the sum result is we don't really need to like upgrade the mic or anything. Although, you know, technology is always marching forward, even as we sleep. Even while you sleep. So, you know, DJI has a cool microphone that has 32-bit capture, and I think it even does onboard processing. I saw a channel today, and the dude, maybe I'll give this guy a shout out. This dude was, I don't know if he's, I don't know anything about him, but, you know, he was making...
Anyway, that's how it
Yeah, his voiceover sounds pretty good. I'm not going to criticize it.
starts. Now, for a long time, like really a long time, nothing much happened. Like, I've been doing this for more than 10 years. I made videos that were largely unwatched, and I put effort into things that got a handful of views and then just sat there. No feedback, no signal, just...
He's got some distortion, so he's doing some kind of... Somebody's doing some compression. But no, his audio sounds good, I think. This channel is Tom Scrylius. Scrylius. And he puts a please subscribe right at the top of the description. That's interesting. And here's a video on like basically it's called like why you don't need a job to make money, but it's basically on like providing value. Providing value versus traditional concepts of work and stuff. And I've known this. Dude, I need water. Let's see if I can get some water. We'll talk about this 1 second. All right, so yeah, I've known about this, about how, you know, a job is just one way to provide value, or he might go more into it. You know, you're doing something for someone else. He's saying, you know, you're trading physical presence. That doesn't make sense to me. Like if you're at like I worked at a CD store, which is, I think he worked at a bookstore, so I think they're about as similar as you can get. Kind of a low energy job. People come in, they browse, they buy a couple things. You're there cashiering. You may have some knowledge about the topic, but it's not like you're some kind of... You might be an expert, but you are working there because who knows why, right? It could be for a number of reasons. But basically his argument is that's fine, that's a choice. But if you were an expert in your area, like in music, knowledge, or a specific genre or something, that you could leverage that to create value, like in information, like YouTube videos or publishing a book. You could still have that knowledge and work at the CD store because for whatever reason you're not motivated or you're otherwise unable to publish your ideas or put yourself out there, your ideas out there, whatever. So yeah, but he did use the example of authors. And so yeah, and that kind of resonates with me because I haven't had a proper job in like, I don't know how long. It's been a long time. And, you know, I do provide value in my life. Obviously enough to be able to be here and be here with you guys. You know, and then the question, at least as far as YouTube and stuff is concerned, is about how I can provide a tangible value to people to the point they'd want to pay for it in cash or a credit card or, meals or mead, in fresh wineskins. So you don't need to have a job to provide value. You might be taking care of someone in your family who is sick, and then they allow you to stay there. That's a form of value, having a place to sleep, or whatever, and then, we're not going to go through the whole spiel of like why publishing content has, value that unlinks your time and your effort. But I would say that in my quest for understanding what is money, and what is the truth about working and wealth and things of that nature, the best understanding I've had of it, well, one of the best ones, is just that money is a form of value, and that your value may or may not be tied to a job, conventional job, and that the value that you receive in return may or may not take the form of money. It might just be food. But food, you don't need money for food if people are giving you food to eat, or you have a job that feeds you, allows you to take food home. That's still value. You don't need money then. It's sort of like in the military. I was in the military, and as a private, you don't make much money. I don't know how much it is. It's not much though. It may have gone up a couple bucks, but it's basically poverty wages. But you're getting something that nobody in poverty, well, not necessarily, but what you're getting is every 6 months you're going to dental. Anytime you get sick, you're going to a doctor. You're not paying for your prescriptions, as far as I know. If you're married, your house is paid for. And if you're single, you can live in the barracks. You have, I don't know if you get a budget for the DFAC, which is the cafeteria, or what, but then you get cash, and you can do whatever you want with that. You have a life insurance policy that you become eligible for, that you pay into. After like 1 year, you paid into that, and you have that. You have education benefits. So this is not me sitting here trying to tell you to go join the military. But the point is that you are putting a lot of value on the line, even if they don't treat you like that. You're giving your entire life potentially to the government to use as they see fit, where, more or less, condition, which is subject to laws typically, not always. So yeah, I'm getting a lot of dropouts. You guys might not even be hearing any of this, but yeah, you're giving a lot of value. You're giving your entire life. So even as a private or something, I wonder if I change my network settings, if I'll lose the whole stream. Kind of doubt it. Might be worth a try. Let me see what happens. Yeah, I don't know what's up with the network lately, man. Here, that should be better. So yeah, we're just talking about value. Value chat. So yeah, your value. Yeah, we're still getting a lot of drop frames. Your value can be anything. I know a lot of people get salty about, women who are beautiful or, pretty privileged in general, but that is value. It's reproductive value, and yeah, they're born with it, but, let's be real, like that's a value that fades. So that's something that they can invest into their future, whether it's traditionally maybe someone to care for them, whether that's a traditional value, who knows why, patriarchy, whatever it is. They can invest that value, or they can just squander it, right? And I think that's what we're all kind of up against. Like, we have value, we have life, which is valuable. I guess depending who you ask, but it's certainly valuable to the person who has it, more or less, depending on their view. And what you do with that, may have value for you. Like, certainly, like I put in the description, me sitting here streaming, even with no views, is valuable to me, because it helps me get my ideas out, which, I have been going through to sort of pull out clips or ideas that I can further develop, And so this is not like a wealth building channel, but it's also important for musicians, who I presume is the majority of my audience. Slightly younger musicians than me tends to be my demographic, mostly dudes, a couple chicks, women. I don't think all the people artists know that, the work you do, you could do a track that takes you 6 months to make, and if it doesn't create value for people on a massive scale, you're not going to live off that track. It may nourish you, but it's just not going to pay your rent. But I hope that you can do that. But the philosophy that I've been sort of living by is what Will.i.am said about music, is that you don't sell music. You use music to sell. You know what I'm saying? And that's the way it has been. That's been the financial reality for the past, as long as I know. It was sheet music, all those songwriters in Tin Pan Alley, and they would do the publishing. Sheet music people would buy that and play pianos in their home. And then that moved to radios, and so your value was, to create recordings for radio, being, they would have bands in the studio literally just playing live, accompanying like stories or whatever. And so your work helped sell radios, and that's how, in the advertising, and that kept the ball rolling. And then you weren't selling music. You were never selling music. Even in the 90s and the 80s, you were selling CDs, physical discs, plastic discs with holes or magnetic fucking patterns in them or whatever it is. I think it was just the physical pits, that a laser would read, and that's what you were selling, literally. And there's nothing glamorous about that. You're a fucking plastic salesman. Like, that's the lamest shit you could possibly be. But you dress it up with cool artwork, and, the music is great, but you weren't selling the music. People argue with that. But the music is sort of an intangible, It's like you play it, you hear it, but you can't grab it. It needs to take a manifest form. Because the music ultimately is in the musician. It's in the work, but you have to capture it. But you have no way to do it other than a physical medium. And those are sort of, in a way, limited. So you're buying access to that limited resource, the plastic, because it's the only way to fix the music. So, yeah, it's a specifically encoded version of plastic. It's like a book. You're buying a book. But what did digital do to CDs and books? So people still like music, but the whole money thing has gotten fucked up. So that's strengthening the argument of the whole thing was a big plastic sales scheme. Okay, so that rant has basically run its course. It's all good. I don't care. I'm not bitter about it. But it's just interesting once you get into the reality of the thing. And maybe it's just to make myself feel better because I didn't have a major label deal. But yeah, a lot of those artists, they get dropped. Then they have basically, I don't know, they lose their contract, and they lose, in some cases at least, rights to their material that got them signed in the first place. So it's kind of a bad thing. And you call that making it, which is really someone just buying your work, and maybe allowing you to recoup the money they sent, and then give you an opportunity to pay them forever, in some cases, in perpetuity, as they call it. Whether by your likeness, which is value. So again, value, money, they're not always the same. You're just the way your face looks. You might not like my face, but it has a certain value to it because it's my face. It's not your face. And so that differentiates us. And differentiation in art is sometimes all that you need. It comes down to preferences. You know, is one toilet paper better? I mean, maybe it just depends on how you wipe and stuff, but if you do like the firm kind or you like the soft kind. Both clean your butt mostly. But yeah, so that was a long talk. But look, we got something out of it, man. We improved our audio quality, so I'm happy about that. I am gonna end this stream for now. I'm gonna probably go have a snack. Nobody made any comments, man. I lose fucking almost 70 pounds and nobody says shit. But that's life. So yeah, 70 pounds. And I've been doing that with OMAD. What the hell? I just fucked up OBS. Fidgeting. So pretty much this is the formula I used to lose the weight. Or OMAD plus shake, 3 times a week workouts, and sleep. And, you know, walking and doing the NEAT, which is, I don't know, non-exercise. What the fuck does NEAT stand for? Non-exercise, aerobic thermogenesis? What is... non-exercise activity thermogenesis. What did I say? Non-exercise. I thought it was aerobic. No. So yeah, washing dish, scrubbing the toilet, and just staying active, doing my stuff. You know, the more weight you lose, the more you feel like you can do things. So it's sort of like a virtuous cycle. But yeah, the OMAD shake is basically time-restricted eating. It's also calorie-restricted, clearly, because you can only eat so much in one meal. And I've noticed that the further I go, the less I even want to eat. And then the shake, which is just like a 70-30 pea rice protein blend that I make. Anthony's pea protein and some other rice protein, brown rice protein, I think. That creates a good protein profile, apparently, according to the ChatGPT. And 3 times a week workouts. That's what Anatoly, that fucking crazy dude who trolls people in like a janitor's outfit, he just works out 3 times a week. So it's really more about intensity and supporting those workouts. Probably periodization, whatever the fuck he does, and doing it for a long time and whatever. You know, I just do body weight, man. I don't know. I'm not that. I don't care that much. Trying to look my best, but like, I don't know. I don't like the gym, so I don't go. So that's the trade-off I make. It's do body weight mostly, some dumbbells. Don't get me wrong, I do try to go as hard as I can. Technical failure. You know. So it seems a little bit less than now that I can do, now that I'm my age, rather than, 15 years ago. But I think part of that is because during COVID and stuff, I sort of really gained a lot of weight, and I was definitely very sedentary. So I'm a lot more solid now. But, I think I still have some room to grow, and I intend to do that as long as I can. So if you guys are out there and you're struggling with obesity or all these different problems, we just talked about a lot of stuff. So now you can change your life if you want to. So I'm going to go have my shake, and I'll probably come back and do music, or I won't. But trying to stream most days, whether I want to or not. Okay? Thanks for watching. Like, comment, and subscribe. That would be great. I would appreciate that. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye.